Great. What else?
Phones.
Phone. Good. What else? It's pretty much replaced everything else that we had, right? Like, if you want to be anywhere, you have a laptop or you have your phone and you connect it to the internet, you can do business right now. So, do you think that behavior is prevalent just for you as agents, or is it prevalent for your customers as well? Right? How many of you like getting flyers at home? Anybody? I hate flyers. You get the I actually have to call Misogynes and tell them to stop sending me, and I have to put like a big sticker on my mailbox. Because every week you get like a stack this thick. How many of you actually ever look through it? Do you think your consumers are looking through it? Well, the answer is yes, some of them are. Some of them are looking through it. But now, this is where you have a target market. So who do you think will actually be looking through your flyers if you send flyers out?
The ones who are only interested, ready to sell, or
Not
thinking about it.
necessarily. Yeah, that is a big criteria, because if it's not top of mind, if it's not something that is top of mind for them, they're not going to be interested in looking at flyers for real estate, right? But who's the target market that actually still reads flyers?
The older generation?
Older generation, right? So if your target market is in an older neighborhood, flyers are a good way to still use. So I don't want to, whatever we're going to talk about over here, I don't want to discount the old ways of how things worked. Your cold calling, your door knocking, all of those are still very, very important. You still need to do that. Real estate is a contact sport. So the idea is with any marketing or any lead generation that you're going to do, you're getting people to just raise their hand. Does everybody follow? If I give you an offer that is too hard to refuse, you're going to do something. If there's a call to action on my flyer that says call this number to get a free voice message on the value of your house, if you are interested in the value of your house, now it could be anything. Get a free report on what's happening in the neighborhood, or get a free estimate done just by leaving your email address. You don't have to talk to an agent. Whatever the hook might be in there. If they are interested in what you're offering, they will call and leave a message, and that's the hook, right? So now, direct marketing is a really, really good benchmark of how online marketing works as well. It's as simple as that. There is traffic going to different websites, right? So there's some keywords that people are searching. Let's talk about behavior right now. So how do you search for something? What was the last thing somebody purchased online?
Shoes.
Shoes. Okay. How did you purchase your shoes? Did you know what you were purchasing? Did you do any research?
Well, it's a website that I usually purchase on
Okay.
a regular basis.
Yeah.
So I know what they offer. I know the quality of their product.
So you went directly to one website,
Yeah.
right? What if you were searching for something but you didn't know who has the best price available?
Reviews.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you would.
reviews.
What would be your search pattern?
Well, we go to Google first and
Mhm.
you just write what the category you are buying, and it will give you the whole list of people who are dealing with that particular product or service, and then you pick and choose, and then you go through.
So let's say you were buying Manolos, right? So you're buying Manolos, and how are you going to search for Manolos? You go Manolos, Toronto, or where to buy Manolos in Toronto, or find Manolos, or whichever. Now you have these couple of different search criteria that you're going to have available to you. Now your consumer, your customers, your future clients are doing exactly the same thing. So we've done these trainings before where I've talked about niche marketing. How many of you remember this? So the future of real estate is a niche. Have a niche. So what is your niche right now? What is it that you specialize in? I know, Zishan, you're working with Mansoor, and you guys do commercial. So you do income, something that I do as well. Nazir, he does a lot of investor clients. So that's your niche. So you can talk to clients and you can tell, hey, this is a good property, this is not a good property to purchase. What are your niches? It could be a type of customer that you have. It could be somebody that is upgrading or downgrading, somebody that has a growing family. So now what you're doing is you're taking a look at your client base and starting to categorize them. Is everybody with me so far? Any questions on this so far? Is everybody with me? So now you created a niche. Now the niche has to be, by definition, has to be specific. And then what happens is, when people start searching for that niche, you start popping up. How many of you like traffic? You like traffic?
Like it means traffic, it's traffic, no, the traffic on my website.
Absolutely. I hate traffic, but this is the type of traffic that you want to have.
For my business, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
For
So
sure.
for your website, you want to have this traffic. So usually we avoid traffic, but usually with internet, what you have is all these searching taking place, and you want to just basically plop yourself right in the middle of it, so everybody has to go through your site. Does that make sense? So, how can you get people? How can you get people to come to your website? Audience yours?
Yeah, I think so. Somebody on the phone?
Yeah, somebody's on the corner. There's one right here too. So how can you get people to show up on your website? Like how do you get in the middle of these searches? Keywords? What else?
Pay to Google.
PPC. So now basically what you have defined are two different types of traffic that you can get. One is called keywords or content-based organic, right? The other is paid. This is prospecting. How many of you remember this conversation? This is, come on. One, you to spend time, the other you spend money. Marketing. Thank you. Right? So if you have time available and you don't want to go door knocking, you don't want to do cold calling, can you write? How many, does anybody know the stats? How many people are looking on the internet to buy their home for, to start their search on the internet? Does anybody know? 84%. 84% of buyers, when they're looking to buy their home, they start to search on the internet. Now, what is it that they're looking for when they search?
Middle village or
No, but let's take it to the basic. What's the first question they would ask?
house in Mississauga, house in
No, this is still very advanced. Basic.
Their price.
3 bedroom.
Nope.
How is the market?
Well, not so much. How do I buy a house? That's the first simple question. So, if you don't have any content on your website, how many of you have websites now? I know a lot of you signed up. So, if you have listings on your website, but it doesn't have any content that can attract people, you have to go the marketing route. You have to pay people to do this. Is everybody with me so far? So, what have we covered so far? We talked a little bit about technology, we talked about consumer behavior so far. And we talked about what are the different ways you can get people to your website. And now we're going to talk about a couple of tools afterwards and dive into it a little bit deeper. So, I'm going to wipe this off.
No
It
way.
is dry erase. It is dry
Oh, you
erase.
drying or something?
Yeah, I'm like, no! Can you grab that? There's the spray sitting in my office and the other eraser. Oh, we can do this. Can you guys see in the back? Alright, so, what different types of websites do we have? I'm gonna give one listing sites. Right? These are websites that you can get right now. Any company out there, you have Agent Locator, that's where we have our websites. That would be something that is called a listing site. Now, it can become a lead generation website too. Inherently, a listing website is not really good in SEO. What is SEO? Anybody know? Search engine optimization. It's not very well search engine optimized. Even if it is optimized, you could have 1,000 different agents that have the similar website. Similar keywords, how do you become better? Is everybody with me so far? All right? The other one is what you have is a content platform. So these are your WordPress sites. These are your Joomla. These are your TypePad. How many of you know what I'm talking about over here? No, just do this over there. How many of you understand what I'm talking about over
After
here?
WordPress,
Only WordPress.
Okay, so WordPress is the most advanced out of them. Now WordPress is a blogging platform, but it has very wide uses available. Basically what you can do is you can convert it into a website that has listings, you can convert it into a blog, you can convert it into a forum, you can convert it into anything that you want. There's a lot of themes available out there. Do you know which one is the cheapest out of these? Out of these two, which one is cheaper?
WordPress.
WordPress. But why is it cheaper? Why is it cheaper? Because it takes a lot of effort to get a website, WordPress site good. Because WordPress site is empty. All of this is content driven, right? So this is empty to start. And you have to put work in. Is everybody with me so far? Any questions on anything that I've talked about so far? So how do you get your website into the target area? So I'm gonna give you a simple exercise, a couple of things to write down. I want you guys to shout out 10 questions a buyer usually asks you whenever they're buying a property. So give me 10 questions that they usually ask.
Mortgage.
Sorry?
Mortgage.
Mortgage, okay. Give me a question. What about the mortgage?
What about the monthly mortgage?
Okay, mortgage.
How
How
can I
much?
afford it?
How much? Okay, what else?
How much down payment do I need to put?
How much down payment? What else?
How long you are in the business?
Sorry?
How long you are in the business?
Really?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
They will ask you, like, you know,
Okay.
how long you
Yeah.
are working as a real
How
estate.
long in business? Okay? 4. What are questions that buyers ask you right now?
all about clothing cost involved. in
Closing
it,
cost, okay?
What extra cost involved in this process, meaning transportation and moving and whatnot,
Inspection.
and lawyer cost. and
Easy,
all.
easy. So closing costs is lawyer costs as well. What are your moving expenses? What else?
Inspection.
Expenses, inspection. I'm gonna put due diligence,
Due diligence.
right? So due diligence includes your condition of financing, condition of getting an insurance, condition of inspection, what else? 6, what else?
It depends on the area they wanna move in. If they're looking for school, what schools, school ratings, closer to highways.
All the walk scores.
All
which
the
is pretty much,
amenities
yeah.
around the area.
How about crime in the area? Does anybody get that? Right? What else? 2 more questions.
Any new projects, like the condos?
Developments coming up, yeah. New changes,
Will there be increase in value of the house?
Yeah.
down
future
the road?
projection. Okay, so how many of you can answer these 10 questions? Now, understand that all of these questions are driven towards one niche that you have. So if you have, if you're working, let's say in Meadowville. So in Meadowville, how many schools are in the area of Meadowville? Can you answer that question?
If you live in the area, you'd be able to.
Or even if you don't live in the area, you can Google it.
Google it, well,
Yeah.
yeah, without
Right?
doing your research.
No,
you
but
can't-
the point of this is, do you think if you specialize in Meadowville, and there's a buyer out there that is looking for a house in Meadowville, do you think they might ask one of these questions? So if you have answers to these questions on your website, what are the chances of them ending up on your website? This is content marketing. Now, we talked about 10 questions a buyer usually asks. I'm going to challenge you guys now. What are the 10 questions they should be asking? Can anybody tell me? 10 questions they should be asking. So, now this is where you become profound for your consumer. Does everybody follow what I'm doing over here?
Yeah.
So there's 10 questions that they're asking because that's what they do. Buyers, they're just new in the market, they're trying to learn. You as a professional can guide them and are better than the general public. What are the 10 questions they should be asking when buying or selling a home? Can you give me some examples?
If they qualify for a mortgage or not.
Yes, good one.
And the price of the home, like, the
Mortgage qualification. All right. What did you say?
the
Yeah.
price per.
Yeah, price comparison.
Yeah, current market conditions.
All right, you have Market Watch. By the way, guys, this over here is one post a month for you. Market Watch, it comes out every month. Don't just copy and paste it. I do that myself, but do a commentary on it. If you're in Meadowville, or let's use a different, let's say you're in Cookstown, or Cooksville. So, is it Cooksville or Cookstown? Which one is it?
Cooksville.
Cooksville is here. Cookstown is in Toronto too. So, let's say you're in Cooksville. Do a Market Watch just for Cooksville. Attach a copy of the Treb report, but then you have Cooksville in there. East Credit, Streetsville, wherever you are. When people are looking for Streetsville Market Watch, what's happening in the market in Streetsville? There you go. You start showing up. What else? What are the questions they should be asking? I need 10 more.
How old the neighborhood is?
How old the neighborhood?
Are the schools?
Schools we talked about,
Okay,
right? How do you find out how old the neighborhood is? Does anybody know?
There's trees.
Trees is one.
Trees.
Does anybody know? How do you find out how old the neighborhood is? Well, you're walking down the street. How do you find out how old the neighborhood is?
Sidewalk.
Good. I love this because I do this with my customers, clients, and they love it because you're teaching them now, right? So anytime a client asks me, hey, how old is this neighborhood? I'm like, come, I'm going to show you a little trick. You go up to the manhole cover and you look at the year on it.
Yeah.
Now, make sure you check a couple of different manholes.
Yeah, because some.
Some manholes get changed. So you're standing there saying, oh, this is 2016. No. So go show them this and they will love you for it. Because you're teaching them something. Who are you more likely to buy from? Somebody that is just an agent or somebody that is teaching you something? Always remember that. That's the whole process over here. All we're doing over here is teaching our customers or teaching our future clients. Is everybody with me so far?
Yeah.
What other things can we teach them? What are the things they should be asking you?
Auto insurance and taxes.
Sorry?
Auto insurance and
Auto insurance and taxes. So that's one something that you can look at. I'm going to call auto and home insurance and taxes. What else? How many of you need to explain agency relationships to them? Agency relationship. How many agents actually have agency relationship on their website?
Probably not.
A little bit. You put stuff like this over there, all of a sudden, you are a trusted resource. What else? Come on, guys. What other things? What should a buyer be asking you?
Any railway tracks in their neighborhood?
Yeah, any cause for concern. This is, I'm gonna call it local info. If you're an expert in the area, you need to know what other people know, but buyers don't know. Because you are considered a local expert when you know the inside information. Right? Local info. For example, I'm going to give you an example. Port Hope. How many of you know Port Hope is contaminated? I guess nobody. Oh, you know. Port Hope has radiation contamination. So, because of that, anytime you're buying a house in Port Hope, you actually have to get an environmental report done. Recently, they just made a change to the reporting structure. So now, a lot of the properties are failing their environmental report. So if you're an investor, I tell all my clients, I saw this happening, I'm like, guys, hang tight, because I had a client buying in Port Hope. I'm like, hang tight, give it a couple of years. Because if you have enough sales that are failing, price is going to start coming down. So there's no point in purchasing a property over there right now. Now, I knew this inside knowledge. None of you know about that, well, with the exception of one. So how do you bring, what's your advantage? This is the information they should know, right? If you have a property, if you have clients that are going to be exposed to a problem, isn't it your job to help them out with it? Make sure that you mitigate the risk? What other things? I need 3 more. 3 more questions a buyer should be asking you.
Close by parks or libraries?
So I'm hint over here, you can take this one and flip it and make it more profound. So how long in the biz? Instead of saying how long in the business, what specific experiences have you had? So you could have an agent that has 20 years of experience, but he's only done rentals and now he's buying his first home. Right? You could also talk about if the agent is full-time or part-time. You can talk about, what else? 2 more, come on guys. What we're talking about over here is industry information. It's stuff that not everybody's going to talk about. It's not the 5 costly mistakes that are already on your website. That's not what we're talking about. This is content that you're creating. Everybody with me so far? Come on, 2 more questions. How about what are the different documents that you have to sign when buying a house? What are the different documents?
Working with realtor,
Yeah.
acquire representation, BRA.
BRA. What else?
Cooperation, confirmation of cooperation.
Agreement of purchase and sale. What else? How about FinTrack? Right? Now this is all information that you can share with your buyers beforehand. What else? One more, come on guys. I'm not gonna help you out this time.
E-signature, when the documents are there,
Yeah, but why should they know about it?
how to sign it.
Yeah.
Fair places?
Hmm?
Fair places?
Prayer places, that's a good one. I'm gonna put that in local info.
Shopping and grocery like
Local info.
local.
Has there been any criminal activity in that area?
We had that crime in area. Guys, there's so much more. So much more. Just think about your business. What is your biggest complaint about buyers? Complain about them, if that's what you want to do. It can be anything. I'm just giving examples. This is stuff that we have just done right now. We came up with this stuff. So this is the recipe. If you have a website, I want you to start writing 1 article a week. This is ridiculously easy, come on. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes to write an article. How many of you have written an article before? 1? That's it? You've never written an article. Have you ever written an essay in school? Okay? It's very similar to that. You just have to put one sentence after the other. Usually becomes an article or an essay.
When it's become too big, then you change the paragraph. Yeah,
Or you can change it into 2. So for me, what I used to do is I would write about a topic and I would write and write and write and write and write. And then I would have like a whole bunch of pages filled. Now you don't want to put a really big article, so what you do is you break it up into a couple of different small topics. And you can schedule them all ahead of time. So you post it up and you say, okay, this one is going to become available to watch for people this Friday, the second one is next Friday, the third one is third Friday, and the fourth is fourth Friday. For the whole month, you've written everything and it took you an hour and a half. Now, with online marketing, just like with everything else, it takes consistent effort and there's a long turnaround time. What is our minimum turnaround time in real estate from the time we meet a client to the time we close?
6 months.
Yeah. For internet leads, it's around 18 months because they have to incubate, then we have to go. Now, what does this mean? How many agents out there have a plan that is 18 months long? How many of you have a plan that is 18 months long?
Proper drip campaign.
How do you keep a drip relevant? That's a very good point. How many of you know what drip campaigns are? Anybody know drip campaigns? Good. How many of you know what the Chinese torture is with the water?
Just no.
One drip of water, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a drop of water every so often on your forehead. It's called the Chinese torture. It's the same concept, drip campaign. So you drop an email every so often to your client. Now this assumes that the client is interested, right? And you have interesting info to send. Am I right? So there's like, how many of you have top producer? 1? Nobody has. What CRM are you guys using?
Agent
Agent Locator?
Yep.
Agent Locator? Okay, Agent Locator doesn't have any crazy stuff in there. But Top Producer has one plan that is for 10 years. And it's called the after sale plan for your clients. So once you make a sale, you go in and you specify it, and this thing will run for the next 10 years. But the point of it is, the information that is being sent,
Most unbelievable.
it's just, well, what's the word they call it? It's a cookie cutter.
Very generic for us.
Very generic. There is no specific information that is being sent. So, the way I do it is all of my clients get added to my newsletter. Once they become a client, they get added to my newsletter. And my newsletter is a collection of my posts that I have done that week. I'm going to show you how I do it so you get an idea. But I don't want this to confuse anybody, so there's going to be a lot of stuff that I'm going to be throwing out there. I don't want you to get confused. What I want you to focus on that, if you have a website, there are, did you figure out number 10 yet? Okay, I'm going to come back to that. If you have a website, I'm gonna give you a simple tool for getting 20 blog posts over the next quarter. Okay? 2 questions that you have to answer. What are the 10 things a buyer is asking? And what are the 10 things a buyer should ask when buying a home? Right now, what are the 10 things a buyer is asking when buying a home? What are the 10 things a buyer should be asking when buying a home? Now let's say you want to focus on sellers. You don't want to deal with buyers. Buyers are liars, blah, blah, blah. You want to just deal with sellers. So, what are the 10 things a seller is asking when selling their home? What are the 10 things a seller should be asking when selling their home? And that's 20 blog posts. Actually 40 in total now. You know, the average agent has maybe like 2 blog posts on their website, right? Usually you click on blog, what does it say? Coming soon. Because they've never done a blog post there. Do you guys see value in this? So now if you have a website, a listing website that is here, that you're paying big money for, how can you make it work for you better? What can you do so that that website makes you money?
Be active on it.
Yes. Blog on that website. Even if you don't blog a lot, blog as much as you can. I had a couple of people come and ask me about PPC, so pay-per-click advertising. And my comment to them was, hey, do you have any content on your website right now? Because if you don't have content, there's no point in going out and paying for something. Try and work on getting it for free first, because you haven't made any sales yet.
So can you please make specific for the blog, like what kind of content we should focus on?
These things.
I just gave you 40 questions to answer. The content that you focus on is based on who are you looking to get? Who are you looking to get?
Okay.
So we go back to niche that we talked about, right? So you have a niche. So let's say you are working. Can you guys put your phone on silence? Let's say you're working in Meadowvale, right? In Meadowvale, you say, okay, if a seller is coming in, if a seller wants to sell his property in Meadowvale, what are the 10 questions that he needs to know? What are the 10 things he needs to know? You start answering those questions. So in Meadowvale, there are houses that actually, the water table is a little bit high. So you have basements there with a high water table. So one of the questions that you can say is, for buyers, for example, does he know what a sump pump is? Good. A lot of you know what a sump pump is. It's very simple. But for a buyer, it might be earth-shattering, because the house can have a sump pump. So stuff like this is what is value add for your consumer. So what are the 10 things a buyer is asking when buying a house? What are the 10 things a buyer should be asking when buying a house? Yes?
I want to elaborate my question, like if we put it 3 blogs a week, let's say 2.
Yes.
So we can't put it every time the same blogging. Just my question is, what are the content can we repeat